Why do we make our kids play like adults?
We embraced the changes because we were fed up, if we're honest.
We did have a few problems. We lost a few teams because we weren't giving them the opportunity to play.
As a parent of an 18-year-old who's done the 6 and the 7-year-old sort of 12 years ago, it was very, very competitive, and you didn't really get the football opportunities for the children that perhaps they deserved. By going away from the competitive element, you remove some of the negative elements of the game, and really, to use a cliche, you give the game back to the children.
We've been running youth teams here at Beacon Hill for 14 years now, and we've always entered leagues. And for a few years now, we felt that's not quite met the needs of our younger players. We felt it was too competitive, too early, led to a bit of antagonism and a bit too much of a focus on winning. And we realised that was actually getting in the way of their learning and developing as players.
Some people are still stuck in that world, that they just go out there to get results, and they come home with this big trophy, and then you say, what does the children learn? Don't know.
Over the last 2-3 years, we've been looking at alternatives, and what we decided to do with our younger age group, our under 7s last year, now under 8s, is that we haven't entered leagues.
We've obviously got the festivals once every 3 weeks, and then in between we're asking the teams to play, if they want to, home and away friendly fixtures. We haven't set fixtures, we've let the clubs sort of get together locally and arrange their fixtures so the players aren't travelling.
One of the things we've done as a league, instead of playing a 30-week season at under 9s, this season we're going to play a 10-week season from September to the back end of October. The kids are then going to play some development football, and then when the weather is good again, they're going to go out and play things like a World Cup style format, or we might do a European style format with small leagues and then a knockout competition.
That under 7s level is that they don't have a fixture list. They play the first few games and then they start sorting the kids out into sort of unofficial, informal groups of similar abilities. So every week the teams of better abilities get a good game. The teams of lesser abilities still get a good game because they're playing against teams of a similar sort of standard.
I don't think the coaches will mind me saying this, but it was a bit of a hard sell to start with. Not because they didn't want to do it for the benefit of the kids in terms of their learning. I think it was the logistical ideas of how you're going to organise your matches. But over the last year, 18 months, we've just rolled out some ideas of inviting teams down and practicing this, little mini games and organising. And now we've got a little group of like-minded clubs who've bought into it as well. So we just end up with a little rota, almost organise our own fixtures, if you like.
Another reason why we're doing the festivals is so that we've got all the coaches and the managers together once every 3 weeks. So if we've got things to tell them, or we've got information for them, if they need some help, we're here. And the same for the parents. We've obviously got the Respect meeting this morning. That will give them an insight into what we're doing here, and also just a bit of a guidance on how they should be acting to make sure that the environment is their child's, not theirs.
Grantham Youth League is they got people involved early, and that's a really strong point actually. They got the managers in and coaches, and they discussed it and they discussed options, and the coaches are allowed to air their opinions. So equally I took lead from that with the Grantham Youth League, and I was able to do the same with the parents.
We've put together some guidance notes for what they could do between the festivals, and as we register in at the festival today, we'll be talking to managers about, what are you doing next week and the week after? Would you like to get a couple of players together?
In terms of the league administering the system, there's not a huge amount of change. We still want the players to be registered with the league.
We've had a really large entry this year at this age group and also the under 8 age group. We've got a lot of new clubs that have come into the league as well, which is fantastic.
We're still asking parents and clubs what sort of format they would like, how they would do it. We may consider changing things halfway through the season. The main thing is to not focus on just one format, but to give the players an opportunity to play as many different sorts of football as we can possibly work in.
At the end of it, we want them to enjoy themselves. We want them to come out with their self-esteem and their self-identity, and also to come back the next week knowing that whatever you did last week doesn't matter. This is a new time, new space.
The children will bring their own competitive edge to it, but what's important is the competitive edge is in the game. And when the final whistle goes, that's it. They're not worried about where they are in the league because they've had a good game then. They think they've played well. They know what's good. You know, they'll play a game of football and they'll say, we played well today. We only lost by 1 goal. We played really well. And the fact they played really well is what they like.
Kids football's changing.
Have you enjoyed yourselves?
Kids football's changing. Find out how to play your part
at thefa.com/kidsfootball.